Um, just a moment. Yeah. So I'm here to share some glimpses of knowledge we got in this journey, in long journey, and what we have received as a feedback from our valued customers, and which can be helpful for you in your life also. So I would like to start with one thing. Let's say I don't know how much interaction we will have here, because I can see everybody's mic is off. But let's start with some question and answer. And I want you to type your favorite food, most favorite food which you will have, like any day, anytime. Yes, I can I have your favorite food? I hope everybody can listen me. Yeah, I'm getting responses. Somebody like banana, somebody like chicken keema, someone like apple. Yeah, okay, idli. Yes, you can have any kind of your favorite food. Don't hesitate and don't be uh, overwhelmed by the question. And you don't have to put very healthy food here. You can put anything, anything like you can put anything you want, like burger and pizza and anything. This is not a competition. I just want to know your thoughts and your likings. Yes, omelette, rice kheer, right? Good. Very nice. Yes. So, how many are here? I don't know. Mm. Yes, five to six people have answered my question. I want more people to get engaged in this conversation, because this is not a typical one-way traffic session. I will be engaging you in some of the activities here. So please be comfortable and talk to me anytime you want. Any questions? Meanwhile, the lecture is going on or the session is going on. Okay, rice kheer. We have stuck at rice kheer. Anybody else? We have got paneer, omelette, and idli, apple, chicken keema, banana, and more. Anybody else? Yes, it's paneer. So there is a question in everybody's mind: what is healthy food? And when we are having food around us, which is which can be named in any kind of thing, like unhealthy food, healthy food, this and that, and you will get diabetes out of this, and you will get blood pressure out of this, and some foods are like heaven like things, like superfoods. You will This will cure your diabetes, this will cure your blood pressure and everything. So the question is, we are not knowledgeable at all in our life about food. What we have is the knowledge, which it's the information we get through various sources, and that's the problem of our life, because everybody talks about his or her experiences, what is best for her or him or her, and what they say that it's my experience, you should always follow this and you will get the same results. But this doesn't happen. There are a few reasons out of this, and our today's topic is about that: diet and happiness and healthy life. So just a moment, I will share a PPT with you. In just a moment, I will share a PPT with you and we will start from that thing. Can everybody see that? What's there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. The session's name is Daily Nutrition. What we say, we should keep it simple always. And the thing is here, we get confused by various sources of information and various kind of information and the marketing going on around us. So what our goal is to clear that clutter and be very specific about what we are eating and what our life is and how it impacts our brain, our mood, our mind, and our whole lifestyle, and how it affects our relationship with others in our you can say in work life balance, also in our relationship with our family members, relationship with our colleagues and anybody else. So many people don't think that food can impact their brain, and many people don't think that food is going to impact their mood or their lifestyle or their what we say philosophy of life, what we can say about it. Just a moment, I will just. So you have written down your most favorite food. If anybody hasn't written down their favorite food, please write down. Besides, if you are having not notepad or anything, don't share it with me. Just write down in your notepad or anything you have with you, like a pen and paper. Just write down your favorite food, most favorite food. It can be more than one. It can be anything like chaat, or you can say burger, or you can say rice and kheer and dal rice and anything like we say tandoori chicken or tandoori paratha or anything can be your most favorite food, and that food is what you think about your life when you are in depression, like when you are depressed, your mood is off, or when you want some happening in your life, like if anything is going on very good, you celebrate with that thing. It can be like that. So there are typically ways people look at their favorite food, that if they are down, they want some ice cream or some cake or some brownie or some chocolate which can uplift their mood. And if people are celebrating, they have alcohol, they have non-veg foods or anything they can have when they are in a party mood. So if you see, our life is very centered around what we say the food we are having. Every day we have consistently some food which is regularly in our palate, what we say in our dishes at our home, that is been cooked by our moms, our grandmoms, and maybe from 3 to 4 to 6 generations in our home. So we haven't checked how that food is enriching us or nourishing us or anything, if that is giving us any kind of nourishment or any kind of valuable vitamins, and we say any kind of good to our body and our mind. So we have to see why we are writing down that, because your most favorite food and your regular food should be in a what we say, in a tandem, in a very what we say, just let me uh, phrase this. It should be in a consistent way, it should be balanced in your life, that your most favorite foods and your regular foods should be balanced in your life. So next is this: write down your most favorite food that reflects your desires. So as we say, as I said, ki if you have uh, a beer on a party, that you are celebrating some success, that reflects your desire, that you have been successful, you are you have achieved something, you are doing something. If you are not a alcohol drinker, there is no problem. I am not talking to you as a person, I am talking in a general way, so don't get it personal. If you are doing some kheer or some sweet dish on the day you are selected for some particular project which you want to get on, and you are you think that you have achieved something in your life, you like passing some exam, or anything like having first salary or anything. We Indians want to celebrate small moments in our life, and the food we eat that day is, it reflects our desires. Okay, so this is like the most favorite food can be anything other than our regular food. Okay, so why I am talking about this, because in last 100 years we have changed lot of our habits and lot of our thinking around food. We are getting into that part in next few minutes, how we have changed our lifestyle in last 100 years, and how today is different than our days in past. Okay, now I want you to write down your daily food routine, like how your day start, what you eat in the morning, for the lunch, and if you have something at uh, like what we say, evening snacks, and at the dinner, and if you have anything before going to sleep, like some people have milk, hot milk or milk with some haldi, turmeric. So if you have that kind of thing, you can write down. This is actual activity you have to take. So please write down, and if you can share with me, few of you can share on the chat and tell me what is your daily routine, so I can go ahead on this topic. If anybody want to talk, please open your mic and start talking about it.
Okay, sir. Can I?
Yes, yes, you are welcome.
Just give me 2 seconds.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, sir, in morning there will be a milk tea. Then breakfast, probably anything with milk, maybe paratha or like that way. Then 11 salad. Either I take salad along with lunch, or before lunch I used to take salad, and then lunch I eat everything: dal, chawal, roti, and every. And then evening I don't think direct 7:30 we take dinner, 7:30 to 8.
Okay. In the
This
night?
is my schedule. No, 7:30 only I take dinner. 10:30 I go to sleep, and
Okay.
then directly in the next day morning, tea at almost 7 o'clock.
Okay. Also, so this is your lifestyle, and this is your diet for how many years?
Yeah, all that last years. Dinner and no eating super nothing, only directly dinner. And
Okay.
then if I feel something like hungry, then a glass of a milk, that's it.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, anybody else can share their experiences and lifestyle. I want this session to be very interactive. People should talk to me because this Zoom class, Zoom meetings are like talking to the wall if anybody is not sharing their thoughts with me. So please,
Sorry,
anybody
sir,
can.
I am
Yes,
audible, sir.
yes. You are audible perfectly.
Sir, and at the morning, I take a glass of milk,
Mhm,
then with some omelette. Then after that, afternoon, I take lunch.
mhm.
In that lunch, I take all the anything means dal, roti, chawal, and at afternoon, uh, I take this, and at evening, I take tea,
Mhm.
and at the night, I take dinner, and I go to sleep, sir.
Okay, great. Very nice. Okay, anyways, we have 46 participants. I want at least 15 to 20 people to talk about their lifestyle and daily routine about food. Please. And talk it fast so we can get all of you in a very few minutes so we can get into the next part of this session. Share anything if you want, anything, any kind of thing. There is no judgment. Nobody is judgmental here about your lifestyle. Nobody will think about what you are having or why you are having this and that, because I am going to clear all those thoughts in coming session.
Yes, sir. I want to share.
Yes.
Sir, early in the morning, I start with breakfast, that is the 8:30.
Okay.
Poha, chapati, puri, or a very light breakfast you may call.
Okay.
And in the afternoon, around 12:30, I will take 2 chapati and the bhaji.
Okay.
And at evening, some chiuda, what we call it, uh, some part that will get happy. And after around 8:30, I will get my dinner. In that, two chapati, rice, and sabji.
Okay, great. So you don't have anything before sleep, like no
No.
milk? Okay, good.
No.
Yes. Yes, more participants are awaited. Please share your daily routine.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, I can perfectly.
Sir, I am. I am Suresh from PAG Polytechnic College, Coimbatore, Tamil
Yes.
Nadu.
Yes.
Normally, our morning starts with the coffee around 6:30,
Okay.
and by 8 o'clock, either it will be idli or dosa. Then after that, 10:30 to 10:45, or probably by 11 o'clock, our tea time. So we'll be going our canteen regularly for having tea and maybe some snacks, either some bhaji or something like that.
Okay.
Then afternoon, probably around 12:45 to 1 o'clock or 1:45. Lunchtime, regular rice, variety rice or meals with, rasam, curd and everything.
Okay.
Then around again 3:30 to 4 o'clock. Again, our tea time starts. We'll be going for canteen once again. Same kind of, maybe some snacks different, either biscuits or something, tea with coffee or something like that.
Okay.
Then 5:30 back to home, have some tea or coffee once again. So
Okay.
minimum 3 to 4 teas per day, and I mean all the regular stuffs. This is our lifestyle in in Coimbatore. Almost all the teachers. This is the regular lifestyle of a teacher from Coimbatore. I think so.
Yes, yes, I can understand. Yes, that's very nice of you. You shared very
Thank you, sir.
clearly. Yes, thank
Thank you,
you.
sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, anybody else? Please share your thoughts on your daily food routine. We will be evaluating it in the next part of this session. Okay, how your food and lifestyle is affecting your mental situation and your overall life. Yes, we have 46 participants. Just 4 has yet share their views on their daily lifestyle. So I don't want to think this is like 4 people are representing for 46 people. Okay, because I have seen more than 15,000 people shared their daily lifestyle and routine with me since last 5 years. So I can assure you about the different kind of lifestyle I have seen. Yes, somebody has put it in chat. So this is thank you, Surejji. Yeah. So when people talk about their lifestyle routine, if you do this exercise once this session is over in your with your colleagues or friends or any family members or anybody, just do this exercise. Ask them what they eat at breakfast. Okay, and this is my experience. What we have seen in Better Fast. If we ask people what is their breakfast, what is their dinner, what is their lunch. Yeah, Suresh, Sushma ji, you want to talk? Hello. Yeah, I will continue. So if I ask anybody or as we have seen in our regular, sorry, there is a disturbance. Sushma ji, you want to talk?
No, sir, no.
Yes, okay, fine. So whenever we have our representative ask the inquiries, our clients, that what they have in breakfast, lunch and dinner, and how is their typical lifestyle. So everybody talks about the typical foods like poha, like idli, dosa, and everything they talk about it. Whatever the best considered food are, like they talk out of guilt that they have to tell the person asking them that they are following very good kind of life or very good kind of breakfast routine or very good kind of daily food routine. But when we get into their lifestyle on daily basis, like when they enroll for our program, like that is 3 months program, what we have come to know that all the things they tell us before, that they had idli or they have poha or they have some healthy snacks at the breakfast, it doesn't happen every day. It happens once in a while, like in 10 days, 15 days, or in a month, hardly 3 to 4 times. And what they have on daily basis, they have only chai, that is tea, or coffee with some bread or biscuits or some jam or some sandwich. This is the reality of people when they think about food. So what we have, whatever I am talking about right now, it's not about you or me. It's about more than 15,000 people what I have confronted till today. I have come across till today. So whatever knowledge I am sharing with you is coming from that experience. So what happens? We in our even our mindset, we think our lifestyle is very nice, very perfect, and even if we think that we are doing something wrong, we tend to compensate it with some good things. Like if we are having uh, a bad meal for 3 4 days, we want to balance it with good meal for 3 4 days, and this is how our life goes on. If only we understand that there is something wrong in our lifestyle. Some people don't have any idea that they are doing something wrong. So that is the problem we have in our life, that we have snacks in the evening. We have more than 2 teas in the whole day, and we have little bites of food. This is the case with women at home, and this is very I'm not talking from the biases or any this is not gender bias or anything. This is hardcore fact from our research from last 15 so 5 to 6 years, that when women at home they are like homemakers, they don't eat very well. What they eat, they have few bites of this, few bites of that, and they have the food which is there in the kitchen after everybody has eaten their part. And what this reflects in, it reflects in their life, in their body, and they have many problems in their body. Like they have many diseases like PCOD, they have diabetes, they have blood pressure, they have vitamin deficiencies, they have so many problems that are those are coming from their daily food routine, and they don't believe it that this is happening. When we come across some overweight person and ask them what is your daily food routine, they tell us that they don't have much. They just have one roti, one chapati, or some very small bowl of rice. Because what is happening, we don't think food as food. Like when we have some meal, that is meal is not considered as meal until unless it is a full plate. Okay, if it is having chapati, rice, dal, and everything, until unless it is full plate, we don't consider it as a meal. If you are having two biscuits at the morning and in the evening, we don't consider it as a meal. If you are having a small chai or tea or coffee in evening, we don't consider as a meal. So that, but this is we are thinking, our body doesn't think like that. Our body just get it in the system and starts processing in few minutes. Whenever we have something in our mouth, it starts immediately processing, it starts immediately getting that nutrients from that particular food we have got into our system. So whenever you are looking at your daily food routine, I am very thankful that people share their views are not like that. They have shared everything they have on the daily basis. Okay, so let's get to the next slide. What we say, let's see how it goes. Now, if you can see, that reflects how you make decisions. What we say, our food reflects our decisions. As I said that the homemaker women don't have their food adequately. They don't have their vitamins, or we can say their nutritious food on daily basis. They don't have much thought about it, that this is important for me or not for me. Many women have some bite from their children's plate, or we can say, that is leftover of that child, which is eaten by the mother, and which is very bad decision a mother is making. And we have to explain this to that mother, that whatever you are doing is very bad for you and for the children also, because they have a bad habit of putting leftover in their plates, and you are having bad habit of not having good meal as a right of your own. Okay, so this is what our decisions are affected by the food, and this extrapolate into the life we are living. So this is how the food affects our life. And we have what we have, slightly we start with having acid reflexes, what we say, acidity. Just let me know how many of you have acidity at least once in a week. Just you can put in a chat or raise your hand. I can understand by that. Acidity just one time in a week, at least one time in a week. Yeah, I want responses, please. Out of 45 people, I think somebody would have acid reflexes once in a week. So that many people think that it's a problem of their stomach or their health issues, but it's the problem of their lifestyle and their food they are eating. Okay, I will explain this in next few moments. Right now, we don't have any neighbors with you because this session is going on Zoom. So, yes, somebody told me, Chamkor Singh, that once in a week it has, they have, he has acid reflexes. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing this. So I will tell you one experience, or there are so many experiences actually. When we correct somebody's food habits, and we want them to have certain kind of routine in their life for next only 6 or 7 days, their 6 or 7 days or 15 days or 1 month, we have seen that when they improve their lifestyle, improve their food pattern, improve their what they are eating every day, we have seen that their acidity problem has just vanished away. And this happens without any kind of acidity pills, any kind of acidity medicine, any kind of acidity remedies, whether it is free or paid or homemade remedies or anything. We do not need any kind of remedies for the acidity if we correct our lifestyle and our food pattern. So this has happened with at least over 500 participants in last 5 years. So if they are having daily everyday some acidity, and they used to have some pills every day, and they used to have some homemade remedies kind of things to suppress their acidity problem, but this has never helped them, and it was a daily routine for them to take acidity pills. But as we help them to correct their food pattern, the acidity problem just vanished like snap. So why this happens? Because we do not know what is best for us. The question in front of your screen is like that: how you know what is best for you? So there are so many trends in the current society that say that your body understand what's best for you. That is the first biggest misunderstanding we as a society have. Our body doesn't know what is best for us. Our body just know that whatever you are putting in the system, I have to process it and just get that nutrients if there are any, and just shift it to the required parts of the body. Our body just know that. And there is a thing in our body, that is brain. The brain is the best part, what decides what it is having on the daily basis. The brain has the brain wants sugar and oxygen to run on daily basis on every minute. So that is the best food it wants from our body. So what happens, we do not know what is best for our body. If we would have known, there won't be many overweight or obese person around us. If they are having best knowledge about their food and their life and their body parameters, there won't be any problem with their body. Why we are having obesity problem in India, where there was after just before you can say 40 to 45 years, there was scarcity of food, and not much of us, our grandparents didn't have that much of food what we have today in front of us. That's why we are facing this obesity problem. That itself is very clear that we do not have knowledge about what is best for us. So our why we don't have very much good information about our body or our routine or anything we do in our life, because our source of information about nutrition is coming from doctors. First are the doctors, then some books, then some news articles, some TV shows, advertisements, the aunties and uncles and nana, dada, dadi, padoske uncle, and friends and colleagues, and many people just tell us this is good, this is not good, this is best for you, this is best not best for you, you should not eat this, you should not eat that. Many of the problems we face, I do not want to point out at anybody, but we are victims of wrong information, or every information. These things, like from doctors to uncles, whatever they feed us is a very generalized information. It's very generalized. Have milk with haldi every day before sleeping. This is the best advice everybody gets in their whole lifetime, once in a while. If I am wrong, just tell me. If you haven't got this advice in your lifetime, that having a glass of milk with turmeric before sleeping is good for health, and having what we say a lemon water with honey in the morning, warm water with honey with some lemon juice into it, it's good for losing weight. So this kind of information we get from all these kind of sources, but we do not know what is the best thing for our own body. Nobody has ever reduced their weight or their obesity just using nimbu pani and honey, because it doesn't work. It is a madness that just people carry on. They go on doing it, but they don't get any results out of it. Just they go on the train that it helps, but no one has seen actually it did help. So when we get a lot of this kind of inquiries to us, that I have, like, people say that, but this person has said this will help me, this person had said this will help me, the information here tells me that this will help me. And I ask them just one question: have you tried this on your own? Have you any knowledge that how it works? or have you any knowledge how these things actually work in biochemistry? If you do not know anything about biochemistry, how our body processes some food, some nutrients, and any kind of food we are putting in our body, how you will know that this thing works or not? So any information you are getting about nutrition it may be not good for you. It may be good for somebody. It may have worked for somebody. There are many parameters. There are many types of people where some things work or some things don't work. So if you are having that kind of information and you are applying it on your own, and you don't know about your own body, and you don't know about how it will react, it's gonna make adverse impact on your system. So many problems starts with wrong information. We should have at least some sense that whatever information coming in front of us, you should be very critical about it, and you should be very judgmental about it if it is going to help you or not. Okay, so we will see what is in the next slide. So this is exercise. I want people, whenever they come to the seminar, and I want to let their imagination run. So let's draw. What comes to your mind when you hear this word? I want to have a notepad beside you. If you have any, just make a good use of it, and just draw what whenever I say these words in front of. Now I will say those words, and just write down whatever it comes into your mind. The first word is carbohydrates. I hope you are writing down or drawing anything, like when anything comes in your mind when I said carbohydrates. Okay. The second word is proteins. Hello. Hello. Meetaji, your mic is on, I guess. Yeah, thank you. So the second word is proteins. What comes in your mind when you think of proteins? And the third word is fats. Okay, so I hope you have written down everything what I have said. So the problem is, I guess nobody has found what to draw when they have listened these proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, or calcium, or anything, because we do not see the food or these components as individual things. We do not know how they look, because carbohydrates, protein, fats, and everything is in a molecular form, and we don't see them by our own eyes. What we see, if I tell you draw an apple, you will draw an apple. When I will tell you draw a banana, you will draw a banana. You will definitely draw a banana. If you are not a good artist, or you are not a good what we say at drawing, but you will draw something which will look like a banana. You will draw something which will look like an apple. But you can't draw proteins, carbohydrates, and all these things, because we do not know how they look, what is their importance, or we do not have come across to these kind of things in our daily life. As a teacher, if you are in chemistry, or you are in biochemistry, or you are in what we say in medical line, you can say that these are molecular components, and it's something this and that, and you can explain me to how they look. But as a common person, nobody can explain what proteins and carbohydrates are. So when the articles I mentioned, the information I mentioned in above slide, when it comes that this particular fruit or this particular what we say, this particular fruit or food or any millets or any kind of thing contains proteins or contain carbohydrates or contains this vitamin, that vitamin, vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, and people just go on pressing you that you should have this, it has proteins. You should have this, it has more less carbohydrates, it has more calcium, you should have santra, like what we say, the banana, it has more calcium, more potassium, and these kind of talks we generally listen into the from the doctors, also from our friends and colleagues, and the news articles and newspapers also. So what happens with that thing? We do not know how to comprehend that information, how to process that information. Why should we have that thing? Because no fruit, no single fruit or no nothing comes with a single single kind of nutrients. Like banana is not potassium only, it has more nutrients into it. Apple doesn't come with just iron, it has more nutrients into it, it has more sugar than we expect. So when we somebody tell us that apple contains iron or apple contains this and that, it comes with lot of sugar also. So if somebody is diabetic and he starts eating apple and the sugar gets more into his blood, and there is a problem with that then. So whenever we are getting some information, we should not think about it as a carbohydrate, proteins, and this and that. What we are looking at, we are looking at the food we are eating and the food which gives us pleasure in our life. So we started with the question that what food gives us more pleasure, what is our most favorite food. So that is the basis of our life and our lifestyle, that we want to eat food that we like to eat, we enjoy eating, and we do it in when we are depressed and when we are happy. So we do not think about calcium, potassium, proteins, carbohydrate, fats, or anything when we are eating. Suresh sir has asked me a question. I will answer this in coming part of this session. Okay. So let's see the next slide. We are common people, we are not experts, and we don't have to be. So there are many confusing informations going on around, and as a common people, we do not know what is best, what is right, and what is wrong. Few years ago, when we started researching in this domain, we have found there is a problem with sugar. Nobody is addressing that as a sugar is a bad thing in our life, and everybody was blaming fats, or you can say the oils we regularly use in our life. And we have come across like it's like 15 years ago we have seen the advertisements of having less fat oil, or the oil is reason for the blockages in our hearts. So we have that kind of information in those days, 15-20 years, and it is proven wrong today, because the blockages in your heart are not caused by the oil in your food. Now this is new information for the common people. Now how you are going to comprehend that, how you are going to process that information? If you are full agreed that oil is bad for your health, and now somebody is saying oil is not bad for your health. So this is happening like that. Some few years ago, coconut oil was not good for your health, as experts says. But now they are saying, those same experts are saying that coconut oil is good for you, and some experts saying are that coconut oil is not good for your heart or your health. So there are always agreement and disagreements on nutritional information. The information regarding the nutrition science, there are no confirmed topics, or there are no confirmed information about anything in the world about particular things. So whenever we are going to process on this information, we should think that we are common people, we are not experts, and we have to think of the expert's opinion also with some salt, that expert can be wrong at any point of time in coming year. So we had very much advertisements regarding the salt, like Tata Salt has many advertisements since long back that there is a, what we say, I want you to participate in this quiz. What is the salt? What is in the salt in Tata Salt? Which makes it special. And we pay it 25 rupees per kg. What is the thing? There is, yeah, iodine. So for just iodine, we are paying 25 rupees per kg for the salt. And the salt which doesn't have any iodine, we can get it at 10 to 12 rupees per kg. So this is a big thing I want you to know, because when we are buying iodine salt, we are we have been told that the iodine is good for brain, infant brain, and it's good for people who have iodine deficiency. But in our India, we have not seen that much of iodine deficiency, except for the hilly areas where people don't get proper iodine from their food or water. But the thing is, we are advertised on that fact that we should have iodine salt in everybody's plate, everybody's food. And the overdose of iodine is working wonders right now. We have way many cases of thyroid problem going on around us. So there is a surge of thyroid issues in last 10 years. And we have seen, as a company, Better Fast Lifestyle Consultancy, we are seeing that younger generation is getting affected by the thyroid problem more and more each year. So why these problems are happening? When we go into deep into that, we see that the salt is causing some problem. And if you are not aware of that thing, that is because of the big companies are not telling us the truth, that what kind of salt you should have, and if you are really iodine deficient, or if you are really, your food is really iodine deficient. So we get iodine, natural sources of iodine are water, and we get our what we say, non-veg foods like fish and like chicken and all those things. And in vegetarians also, there are enormous kind of sources that give us natural iodine, which is exactly required as per our need. So the extra pumping of iodine making us thyroid more problematic. So those kind of things are happening because some experts think that whatever they are saying is best for the common people. So common people don't know what's best, and even experts don't know what's best. So here is the problem everybody is facing. Now next slide. Okay, when we do not know about anything and we should start unlearning the phase. As a teacher, you all have come, you must have come across the phase that is unlearning, that just living whatever you have learned in your past life or in your recent life, in your past years of experiences. You should unlearn those things and start to learning more relevant things about your domain. So this is think about the whole body and think about the total wellness, and not just about the nutrients you are having, like carbohydrates, proteins, and iodine, salt, and your oil is having more what we say fats, and it causing your blockages in your body, your heart. So when we think about the whole body, you should think about total wellness, and that total wellness is about mind and body. But can you really control what you eat on your own? That is the main question we have come across in last 5 years. That we have seen that there are many problems when we tell people to have this kind of food or that kind of food, or they should take decision on having their own food. So we have seen they cannot control what they are having. Let's see how it is possible. I can say that you have money in your wallet and you can go and have whatever you want, but it's not possible because of the market dynamics and because of your or ritualistic, or what we say sanskar, and all uh, family restrictions, and many things. We can't have what we want to have or what our body needs. So this is the best question you can ask to yourself. Can you really control what you eat on your own? These questions comes the first. How government decide what you eat? I want you to think about this for a moment. Why I have kept this slide in this presentation? Why, where this government comes in our plate? So the thing starts with this: daily calorie needs of average male and female are around 1800 to 2000 calories as per government data. And cheapest source of calorie is sugar, wheat, and corn. And government has, if you can see in the past, that government has focused on producing these kind of foods in or food crops in last say 30 to 50 years, that they are focusing on sugar and wheat more and more in our India, in our country. So why we are doing this? Because in 70s, before 70s, we had food scarcity, and that has killed lakhs of people in our India, and which has pushed our governments to grow more staple food, that is sugar and wheat. We have seen green revolution to grow more wheat in Punjab and nearby states, and they have fed our generations from last 30 to 40 years, and made us very sustainable and food what we say Atmanirbhar kind of country, which is self-reliant on food production. So why only sugar and wheat and corn? Because they are easy to produce, they are easy to store, they are easy to process and easy to transport, and even easy to digest. And they are best for money but worst for nutrition. But as a government has to think that people should be alive at the cheapest possible way. So government has pushed wheat and sugar and corn kind of crops over the period of the last 30 to 40 years, and which are, you can see now excess in your daily food plates of everybody, from you can say from the lower strata of the society to the high-fi society. We can have breads, we can have chocolates, sorry, we can have breads, we can have candies, we can have many kind of things which are coming from like biscuits and bakeries and all those things we are eating on it daily basis. So why it is so cheap? Because it is very easy to produce, store and process and transport. That's why when there is a chance that you have given some a poor person that if he can have nutritious food but at very high price, he won't choose it. He will choose what is cheap, what is cheapest, what is in his budget. So he will procure the food that are in his budget and which goes well with his wallet. So as a poor person, they have got this choice only. They can't have great food, great amount of fruits, or they can have sukama, what we say, dry fruits. Dry fruits are very costly thing, and they can't have that kind of nutritious food because nutritious foods are very costly. And this is because we as a government is not focusing on making nutritious food any more cheap or any more affordable. So this is how government is controlling what food comes into the citizens plate. Now our mission as a, it's not this my mission, or this is not Better Fast mission. Our mission is to spread awareness among all people about responsible food choices and make them understand how everyday regular food can be helpful for complete healthy lifestyle. Now we have come to this point of our session where we have to make intelligent choices about our food, and we have to understand what and how food makes our decisions better, and how it can better our life. So now things are like this. When we talk about food and nutrition, these things comes along. We have trends, many trends. In last 6 years, I have seen at least 10 trends going by around, but we have stick with our own program, and we haven't changed it a bit in last 6 years because the trends comes and goes. People want to try new things, and people want to flaunt their lifestyle to others that I am on diet and I am just having 100 gram paneer every day 2 times, or they want to flaunt on things that I am just having green diet. Green diet means only having vegetables or juice of vegetables or boiled vegetables, just vegetables, only vegetables, nothing, no wheat, no grains, no proteins or nothing else. And I'm losing 10 kgs in 10 days kind of diets. And we see those kind of trends in last 10 years, last 20 years, 15, 20, 100 years. I have seen one diet trend that was smoking cigarettes to lose weight. Now people laugh at these things, but that was a very good trend in I guess 1960s. So this is these trends make us confused about our food choices. Like this on this slide, you can see paleo power, gluten free, and DNA diet, or only vegetarian foods. So in my opinion, one can have anything they want to have, but before that we should listen to our body or their needs. So whenever we are making food choices, we should be very confirmed about what are our needs, how is our lifestyle, and when we sleep, when we work, what we work, how our work is affecting our brain. So all those things should be considered before making food choices. It's not about food, it's about your life and your mind. that is more important than the food or the lifestyle you are the food lifestyle you are trying to build. So I propose you to have 21 days challenge in your life. This is kind of exercise you can have, and you can get back on your food on your own, and you can start designing your own life, unless somebody else is pretending, somebody else is pushing you around some trends or around diet kind of habits. So what we proposing here in this session is awareness. So let's start with this. I want you to write down a few things about this food. You should always check. The first thing is you should always check the labels of the what we say factory made foods you buy at any mall or any kirana store or anything anywhere. Even if you are having any kind of wafers or any kind of good food like Nutella, like that peanut butter and those things which are called healthy and nutritious, you should always check the labels, food labels. The food labels tells you the true story about that product. That is the first task you are going to do in your next few days, that or for your whole life, that whenever you go for shopping, you should check for the labels, what the label says. There are more than 56 names of sugar, and it can come under any disguise and fool you that this product doesn't have any sugar into it. So whenever you look at the label, take the product in your hand, you should first check the label, what are the ingredients, and ingredients are mentioned like whatever the main ingredient is there, it will be on the first, that will be the first name, and it will go down as the next ingredient will be the what we say, if there is 100 gram of something and it contains 20 grams of sugar, it will come on third or fourth number in the ingredient list. So the ingredient list is very informative. It says how much that particular component in its ingredients, like in its composition. The composition is made of thousands of very different ingredients. It can show like there we have seen one particular example where they say it has kesar in their product, but the kesar in their product is least, it's negligible amount of kesar in their product, but it is branded as it is having kesar. The brand is, they market it as it's having 50% or 60% of kesar. That goes with like many juices brands. They say that it has natural banana or natural apple, natural mango, or natural fruits, but it has only 20 to 30% of pulp. 30% is very much, I said, no more than 27% of pulp, real fruit pulp in their products. If we go to see the ketchup or the sauce, tomato sauce, we can see there is only hardly 20, 22 or 27% of real tomato in that ketchup. So what is there in the 70% of that product? There is a sugar. The sugar is more than that of required amount. The one spoon of a sauce, a tomato sauce, doesn't contains tomato. It contains more sugar than the tomato pulp. So whatever we are eating in the in the sandwich or anything you apply the sauce into it, we are eating more sugar. So we do not know under which name or under which product the sugar is coming in your body system. So you should be, first task is why I am telling you, the first task is check your labels before you buy. So there are 56 names. You can search it on Google's what are those 56 names or sugar, and be careful about not having sugar in your body. The sanction amount, or you can say the recommended amount of sugar is only 9 spoons for male body, and around 7 to 8 spoons for female body. So these are the standard set by WHO or the health organization or government firms. So government organization. So the thing is that we have more than 10 spoons of sugar in our everyday life, which comes from various kind of foods. We can have 20 to 25 spoons every day, from teas, from coffees, from breads, from biscuits, from what we say snacks. Even if we eat healthy snacks, it contains sugar more than required, more than recommended. So even people think that they don't eat much. Like I said in the beginning, that people complain that wow, I don't eat that much, or I don't have that much of food, but they are having food which is in small quantity but heavy in the sugar content, and the sugar is real culprit of making your fat go. Like body fats are result of sugar. So when we have to see the food levels, we have to check for the sugar. And second thing, we should always go for the natural ingredients. More and more, you should avoid the factory made things which are made to last longer on the shelf. What people are doing, the manufacturers are doing, they are increasing the shelf life of that product. It is not for us. It is not good for our health. It is good for their own business to increase the shelf life, because if the shelf life is good, the sellability of that product is good, and they can sell the product more than what it is deserved. So if we go in your own kitchen and make and cook some product, it won't last more than 2 days or 3 days. Even some products don't last just 2-3 hours also. So why? Because there is a process in that. You all are teachers, you are more intelligent and brilliant than me. You can understand the processes goes in the food, the chemical processes or the biochemical processes which are caused by bacteria. It goes into the food, and it just disables many ingredients from that food. So it goes raw. It goes wrong on many things, and the food is spoiled over the period of 2-3 hours or 2-3 days. But the problem with the packaged food, it doesn't go wrong, or it doesn't go spoiled in 2-3 days. It lasts for at least 6 months. So why? Because they have either reduced the ingredient which is good for bacteria, or they have put something there which kills the bacteria. So they have done something wrong with the food which is not natural at all. Even if you are having best brands and like reputed brands, they do not provide us good food if their shelf life is more than 1 month. So keep it in mind. That is our first lesson. You should always check the label for ingredients, shelf life, and the ingredients which are there for increasing the shelf life, like permitted scents or permitted preservatives. So that is one thing. Then secondly, if you are having bread, biscuits, and bakery in the breakfast menu, you should avoid that for at least 21 days, and you should have your uh, traditional food. Like if you are having idli, you can have idli, dosa, sambar, which is made in your house, in your own house, and which is fresh, cooked in front of you, and it has more natural ingredients, and it's more nutritious than any factory made food. So you should have that kind of thing. If you are having some problems while cooking, or if it is taking more time, you should find some alternatives to it, but you should not go out of it, your traditional food. We at Better Fast, we always believe in our traditional food, the food we are having since generations in our home, and that has made our generation strong and prosper. So we believe in those foods, and with those foods only we have been able to control so many diseases from our clients, for our clients, and our client has benefited from that kind of routines we have scheduled them for. And we believe in that food only because we have seen the results, how the only home food can cure your almost any kind of problems you are having, like acidity, migraine, or you are having dizziness in the morning, or your sleepiness in the whole day, and if you are not having good vibes, or you can say you don't have, you feel heavy in your body, and these are small things which affects your brain. Because if you are dizzy, you are not having good sleep, you don't have good day, and you have pressure on your mind, you are struggling with that kind of body problems, and if you are going to do your daily work, you won't be having 100% potential. You are not delivering your 100% potential, because something is eating your mind, something is eating your brain, and your body is not supporting your daily activities. That is the first thing. The problem is there. The first thing, what we say, the first indication that your body is giving you some clues that something is not good for good going in your body. So you should think about, first thing, your sleep is not good, second thing, your mood is not good, and third thing, your bowel movement is not good. These three things tell you that something is wrong going in your body. So you should immediately acknowledge it and start thinking about the solutions on it. The solution is simple. You have to think about your daily food habits and start scrutinizing it. If you are having food which are disturbing your system, you should immediately ban it. Like I said, somebody told me that they are having more than 2 teas in day. So this is quite a routine for people, but what I have seen in our experiences, if we start to completely ban their teas for 3 months, we have seen good results in their mood, and in their what we say, in their sleep schedules, that sleep routines. If they are having good sleep in the night, if they have stopped their tea in the days, like if they start to reduce their teas one by one, if they are having 10 teas in a day, and we start like having -2 teas every day, and they just end their tea habits in 7 to 10 days, and they have good results of them in results of that habit, that changed habit. In just 15 days, they are having good sleep, they are having less depression or less body weight kind of thing. That is what we say, that is fluffiness in their body, or clogginess in their mind. It is reduced because of the sleep is improved. The sleep is improved because the tea is reduced. The caffeine that was disturbing their brain cells, we have reduced that intake, and we have found good results from that caffeine intake. So this is the thing I want you to focus for next 21 days. First is having labels, and our second is avoiding factory made foods. Only if necessary, you should go for the best possible natural ingredients. And second is thinking of your own body and checking any clues if your body is giving you. So the thing is like that. If you are having good food in 3 days in a day, you will have nice sleep in the night, and you have a good day in ahead. Like every day you will have a good mood and a very healthy life. The second thing is about exercise. Many people think about exercise as a mode of health. So in my opinion, I have seen every day, if you do 30 minutes of exercise for 5 days, it's enough for you for a good healthy life. That is, we can say 30 minutes for 5 days in a week, that's sufficient. You can go for a walk, you can do small exercises like sit-ups and pull-ups, and even if you don't have that 30 minutes in a stretch, you can have 10 minutes 3 times in a day, and you can get 10 minutes anytime in 24 hours, and you should do that exercise like pull-ups, sit-ups. You can use your chairs, and you can use your bed for exercise. Just the thing is, you should have that decision power that I want to do this right now and I want to get it over. So if you start doing that just 30 minutes every day, any kind, not a stretch of 30 minutes, you can do that 10 minutes in 3 times in a day, and you can go for a walk just for 30 minutes also. So these things can help you improve your life. Any questions I can take now? So please start with your question. I will answer the one question Suresh ji has asked, that fruits are no seeds. Suresh ji, I am not able to understand your question. If you can elaborate what exactly your question is. Hello. I hope Suresh ji is there. I want you to elaborate on your question. What is your question exactly? Fruits are no seeds. No problem. Any more questions other than this? I can answer.
Sir, do you suggest any changes in whatever schedule I discussed? I am Mrs. Nehal Muchala.
Okay. You
For
just
healthy life at this age, around maybe in between 45 to 50.
yes. See, we generally, the thing is like, we do not suggest generalize changes in anybody's life. We have to see their whole parameters. They're all parameters, their whole lifestyle, their routines, what their work style is, how their daily food routine is, and how what is their family background. Like family background means any medical issues in family, or that kind of things. So we have almost 40 to 45 questions in our questionnaire.
Understood.
Yes,
Yeah.
and only after that our dietitians suggest what is the
Okay.
best thing for you. Yes.
Correct. So you basically require a history and
Yes.
the detailed information about a person, and then you will be able to search.
Yes, exactly. So
Yes.
the whole session
Correct,
is
correct.
about all that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The thing ma'am asked me is very important. This is good for everybody also. Whenever we think as we should get some tips or some kind of suggestions about improving our life, do not go by generalized information. Generalized tips are good in some degree, but not good for every time. Because I will tell you one experience of mine. That there was one client which who has shift problems, like he has to work in shift. So the sleep problem was there. We cannot tell him to sleep for long 8 hours in one stretch for a certain period of time. So we have to customize his patterns as per his shift or as per his work style. And there was one other guy who was in marketing, where he was to travel to many places, and he cannot have the food we wanted him to have. So we have to improvise on his food types and food he can eat and what he can carry and what he can cook for himself. So these are things like these are very personalized things. You cannot copy somebody else lifestyle to improve your life. So that is what the problem is. What I am giving you tips, those are generalized tips. Those tips are generalized, but those can be followed by anybody, like having like looking at the food labels. That is very generalized tip, which anybody can watch and learn and educate them on that thing, but it won't affect their lifestyle, like in a bad way. If I tell you to eat only 2 bananas every day in the morning, and that is very generalized tip, it can't be good for everybody, because many people have problems with fruits or any kind of allergy, or their routine cannot match what I had to tell. Okay. There is a question: why fat saturate, and can you guide us how food habit style helps in controlling it? Fat saturate. Sanjay ji, I cannot understand your question. Why fat saturate means what? What exactly is question? How? I want you to open your mic and ask me. If I'm right, you are asking about what builds fat in your body. Am I right? Yeah. So the fat is very interesting particle in our body, and I am very glad to explain it to you. See, whenever you eat any food, whenever we eat any food, there is a system in our body as a hmm, as a human being. We are animal, and we forget it a lot of time that we are animal. As an animal, we have history of 2 lakh, more than 2 lakh years. Like the human animal is in making since last 20 lakhs years. So it's 2 million years we are into making, and our body are still evolving. And the evolution has made us make many changes in our body, and that one of that is fat storage. What we said fat saturate, it's not saturate, it's storage. Fat storage is a very good thing we have got from the nature, from this evolution. What happens in our early days, like before the agriculture was invented, we do not had daily food sources, like ready food sources. Now we can go in the kitchen and have anything we want. So the storage concept was there in our body since 2 million years, and that has developed this cell structure in our body. Whenever we eat something, the food we are eating grabs the our body grabs the energy from it, and it bifurcates in two parts. Some part goes for ready use, like right now I am talking, I am watching, I am holding my hand in the air, I am doing something. So this require energy, which is currently used. That everything is working in my body, like my lungs are working, my brain is working, my eyes are working. Every part of my body is working, and it needs energy, and that is real-time energy, which comes from the food we are eating. So what happens when I eat more than needed food? Like if I have energy requirement of 1800 calories and I eat 2400 calories in a day. So what happens with that? The 1800 calories are used for the daily requirement of my body, and the 600 calories are stored for the further use, for the future use when I will not have food. So why? Because in our early days, like in our evolution days, even before we were hunter and gatherers, there was scarcity of food, and we have to wait for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 6 days, 8 days for food. Our ancestors had gone through these kind of problems, and this has developed their body of storing food for the time when we are not getting the food to eat. Like some days, if they are going on hunting, they got good type of hunt, they got good type of animal, they have enough proteins and some fruits that day, but for next few days they won't have anything to eat. So what happens when they have more than required food? Like nobody can eat 1 kg of food, something like we can say the daily requirement is we can say assume that daily requirement of a full grown man is 1 kg of any food. Okay, but he found 4 kg of food in a one day, but he can't have that 4 kg in one day, and that 4 kg can't sustain for 4 days because it will go spoil. Because that is natural food, it will go spoil in a few days. So he can't have that 4 kg in one shot, and he can store that 4 kg in somewhere safe, which he can use for next few days. So what happens? Our body starts to store that food in fat cells, that is called as fat cells. So energy, whatever sugar, whatever carbohydrates we are eating, it is converted into fat, and it is stored in besides our under our skin and around our stomach. So those are two kind of fats we see: visceral fats and one other fat. Yes. So the thing is that we are saving fat for our days when we won't have food. But nowadays, what happened? Our body doesn't understand. We have a generation. We are the generation of having good food. We are having ample of food. Our body doesn't understand that thing, because it is not. It is just animal as it was before 2 lakh years. So it doesn't understand there is a food in our house. We don't have to store in our body. So what happens? Our body starts storing whenever we eat excess food, and the fat, the obesity starts to develop from there. So this is how we are going to have more food. So the thing is, the question next is coming like this: how much food we should have to balance that thing? So Sanjay sir has asked how to decide how much food, how much calories one's body requires. There is two things to this question. The calories are not the whole answer, and it should not be like that. We should have natural ingredients, and we should have whole fruits. whole foods. So whole foods give us good calories with good nutritious portion. We should have foods that gives us enough calories and nutritious ingredients also. So it's not like that if your need of a day is 1800 calories and you are going to eat one cake of 1800 calorie in a day, that is not going to help you, right? So you should have your diet or your food designed as you should have some fruits, some carbohydrates, some proteins, and some fats. Every kind of things you should have in your plate. So you have to calculate. You don't have to calculate how many calories you are eating. You have to just calculate if you are satisfied with the food you are eating, if it is natural, and it is not overcooked, or you can see it is not super processed. Super processed food makes the calorie quotient more than the nutrition. So you should always look for that thing. Calories are not major part of the body requirement. The calories are the part of body energy which is required to run the body, but the nutrition is important as well as the calories are important. So in my opinion, you should always look for calorie plus nutrition. I hope I have given a good answer to this question. The second question is diabetic person, what they must eat. As you said that in every food there is a sugar content. Please suggest what should diabetic person must take as a food with good nutrition. See, sugar is if you have listened my earlier question where the fat goes. The problem with the diabetes person, there are two types of diabetes. Very few people know this. There is a diabetes because of lifestyle, and there is diabetes from the birth we have because our pancreas don't work. There are two kinds of diabetes. There is diabetes type 1. Type 1 is when our pancreas don't produce insulin in required what we say volume, and the diabetes type 2 is when our body cannot process insulin in required manner. So the insulin is required. Let me explain this thing. Insulin in our body is required for the sugar to be entered into our cell. So when we say that a diabetic person should not have more sugar, we are saying that our body should not be pushed towards processing more sugar than it is able to handle. So insulin is very limited kind of what we say thing in your body, and it cannot process more sugar than required. So if you are eating sugar more than required, it will not process and it will run into your blood, and that blood sugar will create more problems in coming years. So diabetic person has to look out for the sugar content, and it's not about having no sugar, it's about having adequate sugar, because sugar is required for bodily functions like brain and eyes, and more things are required there. So there is nothing like that diabetes person should not have any sugar. It should have sugar in moderate manner, and if they are having fruits, they should always look for good foods with vitamins more than that of sugar. Like if you are having banana, you should look for good quality banana, not full ripened banana. Full ripened banana have more sugar than less ripened banana. So you should look for that also. And these tips are very generalized. I cannot tell you more than that thing, because every diabetic person is different. Their work style and their history is different. So our dietitians tell them on their particular thing what they should have or not as a patient of diabetes. Okay. Any more questions? I guess our time is coming up and we have to wrap this session. Okay, great. This question is good. As a teacher, what should be the diet plan for a day? I don't know. Just tell me when your day starts. I will tell you a sample kind of diet plan.
5 a.m. sir.
5 a.m. And when you go to sleep?
9 around 9 a.m. 9 p.m. Sorry.
9 p.m. Very
9
good.
p.m.
Very good. And what is your age?
35.
35. And
Yes, sir.
right now, what is your height?
Around 5'7".
5'7". And the
Yes.
weight you are carrying?
75.
75.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So I feel there is at least 5 to 6 kgs more than your requirement.
Okay, sir.
Whatever. Yeah. So what is your current routine, food routine?
Sir, in the morning I have tea,
Mhm.
and after breakfast, in that I eat roti and sabzi,
Okay.
and after 12:30,
Okay.
I ate around 2 rotis and sabzi,
Okay.
and at the night at 6:30,
Okay.
my last food will be there.
Okay. What do you have in last food in dinner?
Yes, sir.
What do you have in your dinner every day?
Everyday dinner is common, 2 chapatis and sabzi.
Okay, okay. So this is not your only like it's not your personal thing. As I mentioned, in 15,000 inquiries we get, almost 60 to 70% people have same kind of routine as you have. They eat chapati sabji for breakfast. They eat chapati sabji for lunch. They eat chapati sabji for dinner. And that is the cause of many problems in our life. So what I suggest as a generalized kind of thing, you should always balance your food and you should not have same food every day or kind of thing. First of all, take your tea and breakfast together. If you are having breakfast, have your breakfast and take the tea immediately. We, as a Better First consultancy, we do not promote taking tea because we have seen so many good results avoiding tea. So what we do, we tell people to have tea until unless they get rid of it. So you can have breakfast, a good breakfast, like if you are having like say thali peet or some nutritious food like protein based food like boiled chana or boiled nuts or some kind of like dosa or idli in the morning with lot of sambar. Okay, so that kind of things can be changed instead of the chapati or roti. You can have fruits also. So don't have chapati sabji in the breakfast. That will make you heavy, and that will make your mind like clogging in whenever you are doing your teaching or taking what we say your lectures. So have some light breakfast. Always have a light breakfast. Do not take tea in the morning, or if you want to have tea, if you do not go without tea, start having good 1 cup of hot water with some ginger into it. Let's say boil a ginger, very half-inch of ginger in your 1 cup of water, plain water, and boil it for 10 to 15 minutes and have that ginger water instead of tea. That is very basic and very good advice I am right now giving to you. So with that ginger, you will have your fresh mood, and you will be more focused, and you will have all the what we say. Uh, what we say, the focused on the subject you are dealing with. So that will cure your sleep problems if you have any. Okay, so instead of tea or coffee, you should have this ginger water, boiled ginger water in the morning, and have light breakfast. For lunch, you can have full breakfast, full lunch, whatever you want, like sabji, roti, dal chawal, anything, but always have a bowl of green vegetable salad. Green vegetable salad, like you can have green vegetable salad, you can have some fruits like banana also, or you can have cucumber, you can have tomatoes, you can have what we say, this kind of salads in lunch and in dinner also. If you can't have in dinner, it's no problem, but everybody should have one bowl of green salad every day with either lunch or dinner. That will make a lot of difference. If you go for just 21 days, you will see your own in your own experience what difference it will make. Okay, so this is my what we say generalized tips for all of you, that you should start with start your day with warm boiled ginger water, and have very much light breakfast, and then heavy dinner, heavy lunch you can have, but have one bowl of green vegetables salad with your everyday lunch. Okay, that's it. And do not eat before you are sleeping. Anything like, do not have milk, no heavy things, do not have any kind of dry fruits or anything before you're going to sleep. At least 2 hours before your sleep, you should not have anything, and have just plain warm water before your sleep, and go to sleep. Have 8 hours of complete sleep. That is very much important. As you said that you go to sleep at 9 p.m. and wake up at 5 p.m. That is very good thing, and you can add 30 minutes of exercise in your daily life. That will be very good.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody, for having me and tolerating me. Okay. See, the problem is, you must have seen, I want to confess, this Zoom class or Zoom meetings I am not very comfortable with. I am a person of man-to-man interaction, and I love to interact people when I can see in their eyes. So sorry if you got bored or out of it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Doctor, sir, can you please propose a vote of thanks?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Sandeep Dange, sir,
Yes.
for delivering such a wonderful session
Thank you.
to all the participants. I hope all the participants have enjoyed the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
And we are immediately following the valedictory function. So I would request Purkar madam, please start the valedictory session. And I am requesting all the participants and resource person, please present for the valedictory function, sir.
Sandeep, sir, can you please stop your...
Yes, yes, I have stopped.